The prison I didn't know I was in. Let me tell you about a prison I lived in for years without even knowing it. It wasn't made of bars and concrete. It was made of religious rules, shame, and the crushing weight of trying to earn something that can never be earned. I knew Jesus died for me. I believed that much. I felt God's love in some distant theological way, but I never felt his acceptance. You know what I mean? There's a difference between knowing God loves you in theory and actually feeling accepted by him in your daily life. Every single day, I woke up with this heavy weight on my chest, the weight of my sins, the weight of my failures, the weight of knowing I wasn't measuring up to God's standards. And so I tried. Oh, how I tried. I tried to stop sinning. I tried to be better. I tried to pray more, read more, serve more, anything to feel like God would finally look at me and say, well done. But it never worked. I'd have a good week, no major sins, prayers felt meaningful, Bible reading was consistent, and I think, okay, maybe now God accepts me. Maybe now I'm good enough. Then I'd mess up. I'd fall into the same sin again. I'd lose my temper. I'd have impure thoughts. I'd be judgmental towards someone else. And just like that, the crushing weight would come back even heavier than before. This cycle kept me in and out of church for years. I'd get fired up, commit to doing better, attend faithfully for a few months, then I'd fail, feel condemned, and disappear for a while. I felt like an outsider looking in, watching other believers who seemed to have it all together while I was drowning in my own inadequacy. And here's the worst part. That religious performance mindset didn't just affect my relationship with God, it poisoned my relationships with other people too. I became judgmental, self righteous. I had no compassion for others because I was so focused on my own failures and trying to hide them. I look at people struggling with sin and think, well, at least I'm not as bad as them, all while secretly knowing I was just as broken, just as desperate. I was in prison, brother, held captive, imprisoned. And I didn't even realize the bars weren't real. They were religious lies I believed about how to relate to God. Now, when I finally discovered what the Apostle Paul was teaching in Galatians 3, everything changed. Listen to what he says in verse 23. Now, before faith came, we were held captive under the law, imprisoned until the coming faith would be revealed. Three words jumped off the page at me: held captive, imprisoned, and until. Paul isn't using soft language here. He's describing a spiritual captivity, a real prison that kept people locked away from the very presence of God. And notice he says we were held captive. Paul was a Jew. He was under the law of Moses. He knew what it meant to live under that system: the constant sacrifices, the endless regulations, the ceremonial washings, the festivals, the dietary restrictions. Every single day was about trying to maintain your standing before God through obedience. But here's what's crucial to understand. Paul isn't just talking about the Jewish people under the Mosaic law. He's describing a principle that applies to anyone who tries to relate to God through religious performance. Whether you're under the law of Moses or under the law of, I need to be good enough for God to accept me, you're in the same prison.